Hey YouTube, Motor Racing Network, Steve Post here. Another great collection of diecast. All of these diecast available at your local diecast dealer or at planbsales.com. So make sure you dial them up. It's diecast season, and we're just glad that you've tuned in to this diecast review show. We are just wrapping up here in the Charlotte area. Conclusion of the 4-wide Nationals. And folks, we love our NASCAR, but we love our drag racing too. And Ron Capps, driver of the Napa Auto Parts car, was here at Plan B Sales signing diecast. And we have got the funny car right now, autographed by Ron Capps. This is an absolute beauty. If you're a drag racing fan, this is one you've got to have, autographed by Ron Capps, available right now. Really, really cool stuff. Moving on to our NASCAR stuff now. The Lowe's red car that Jimmy Johnson raced last year. We've got the standard finish, and we've got the color chrome finish as well on that. And Kevin Harvick, the 2014 champion, this the Jimmy John's paint scheme with the championship logo on the top of this. So really, really neat. A collector's item. All of you Harvick fans, all of you NASCAR history fans, this is one you want to have. It is the 2014 championship car. Says it's freaky fast on the side too, and it certainly was last year and this year and Lord knows for how long to come. But Kevin Harvick, that championship winning car. So those, a few of our 2014 cars. Now we get into the 2015 models. Jamie McMurray's Ganassi Racing Chevrolet, the Cessna car, available, and we also have it available in autographed form. So we have the non-autographed car and the autographed car of Jamie McMurray. His teammate at Ganassi Racing is Kyle Larson. These are the color chrome Target Chevrolets. We've got the standard and the autographed version as far as the color chrome cars go. Kyle Larson autographed there on the nose or on the window of that car. This Dietech car has been very popular. Kevin Harvick, good-looking race car from Stewart-Haas Racing. We have got it in the standard finish, and we've got it in the color chrome finish. Again, this blue really pops on this race car. Just a good-looking race car for Kevin Harvick, the Dietech colors on that race car. Jimmy Johnson, we've got a couple of his cars in the color chrome finish. We've got the Lowe's Cobalt car and the straight-up Lowe's car available in the color chrome finish. So Cobalt and regular Lowe's are in as well. And down here on this side, Ty Dillon, of course, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver. We've got his Wesco Camaro and his Wesco Camaro in the color chrome finish. So those are the 124 scale diecast that we have available right now. Everything from Xfinity Series drivers, old diecast, new diecast, drag cars. We've got a great collection this time. And we've got a great collection of 164 scale diecast as well. Here is the Lowe's red Jimmy Johnson car available now. Yeah, junior fans, the Kelly Blue Book car is now available in 164 scale. We've got the Great Clips car of Casey Kane available now, and alongside of the Great Clips car, we've got the Farmers Insurance car for Casey Kane. So those cars available from Hendrick Motorsports on this side. A Stewart-Haas car, Kevin Harvick's Dietech car is available in 164 scale size. Kurt Busch, the State Water Heaters car, available as well. Here's the Aspen Dental car of Danica Patrick. And finally, the Smithfield car of Eric Almirola. Smithfield, fueled by bacon. That is my favorite slogan. That is almost as good as Gentlemen, Start Your Engines. Almost as good. The Eric Almirola fueled by bacon car. So these diecast cars all available, as we mentioned, available at your local diecast dealer or at planbsales.com. Now the post show is coming up. We're going to answer some of your questions, but we've got more items to tell you about on the post show as well. So stay with us, everyone. Welcome back. It's time for the post show where we answer your questions, but we have a few more items we want to share with you because these are beautiful items. The replica helmets that we have available, and folks, limited quantity, and I'm telling you, they're replica helmets, so they're not $1.35 either. I'm just going to warn you on that. They run a few bucks, but they are real special. And if you have someone that you're looking for, maybe a birthday, or maybe something you want to tuck away for Father's Day, maybe someone that has that special spot on the mantle, these helmets are absolutely beautiful. Here's Kevin Harvick's championship Jimmy John's Budweiser helmet that he has available. Around the back of this thing, look, pictures celebrating trophies along the way, all celebrating Kevin Harvick and his championship last year. And this is the standard Jimmy John's helmet that he has available that Kevin Harvick races on a regular basis. The freaky fast one, if you will. This helmet is absolutely beautiful. Jamie McMurray, the Cessna paint scheme, just black and white and sharp all over. This thing really crisp. Checkered flag design around the outside of it. Just absolutely beautiful. Jamie McMurray, beautiful looking replica helmet there. And Carl Edwards, the new Aris paint scheme, we have his helmet available as well. Carl, of course, doing a great job for Joe Gibbs Racing with that new paint scheme and the new look. And hey, are you getting used to seeing Carl in anything but a 99 car? I think I'm starting to get there. I don't think I'm there yet. Every once in a while I look out, you know the car that it confuses me with from the Xfinity Series, Mike Bliss. I look out and I see that orange number 19, and I think of Mike Bliss. But we're getting there with Carl Edwards and getting there, and he's getting there, getting acclimated to his new team. Now let's get to your questions. Now your questions come from down below. So if you have a question, type it in down below, and we will get to your question maybe on the next edition of the post show. Swipe TV says, do you think Chase Elliott will go 2 in a row in the Xfinity Series championship? You know, great question. I think he's probably the favorite, but that Xfinity Series looking awful strong. There's a couple of guys that have really stepped up and done very, very well this year. I mean, I think you look at the Roush Fenway guys, while they've struggled on the Cup side, I think you look at Bubba Wallace, and I think you look at Chris Buescher. I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat. I think when you look within, and Elliott Sadler, throw Elliott Sadler in as well. Regan Smith off to a great start. That's Chase Elliott's teammate, and some others over there in the Xfinity Series really well. Yeah, I think Chase is probably the favorite to win it, but I'm not sure he's the favorite by a long shot, but he's awful good, that's for sure. Man, I'll tell you, that kid's got a lot of talent. The Nicholas Dove, that is, writes in, who do you think can challenge Kevin Harvick in the chase? You know, great question. If we look at it right now, it's tough to say, but when you start looking at this thing, let's look at one of the guys that challenged him last year, Joey Logano. Joey has gone toe-to-toe with Harvick this season. He hasn't been that 1-2 finish, but he's been in the top 10 in every race. And I think an interesting race for Joey Logano was Martinsville. And Martinsville, Joey stayed up front all day long. That's one of the chase races. We know Harvick's going to be good there. Joey Logano, I think, is one to watch. I think Brad Keselowski, you know, I haven't really counted out the Hendrick gang yet necessarily. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, maybe even Casey Kane. I think they can be strong, and we'll just have to wait and see. But not sure. I don't, you know, it's pretty early in the season as well to see who's going to challenge Kevin Harvick for the championship. And who knows, maybe they fall upon some hard times, and we're talking about a few other guys when we get closer and closer to that championship run. EPRL Monster Cup Series. Do you think Denny Hamlin might leave Gibbs at the end of this season? He's in a contract year and doesn't seem exactly 100% content where he's at all. Well, that came in before Martinsville, okay? And I'm not sure, I'm not saying Martinsville cures all the ills, because I think Joe Gibbs Racing is still working on their program, but I think they are working on it, and I think there's a lot of confidence in the trenches there that they will get it resolved. Now, as far as Denny Hamlin, the question you always have is, will he stay where he's at? And that's a question, and I know they're negotiating and talking about it and always kicking it around. The problem is, where do you go? Joe Gibbs Racing's a pretty good seat, and yeah, their performance has been off just a little bit. Denny Hamlin won at Talladega last year. He's already got a win this year, so I would be surprised. This is just my hunch. I don't have any inside information, but with the few options out there of places to go, my hunch is that Denny Hamlin might very well hang in there with Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs, the one that brought him to the dance. Remember that test session a few years ago where they used Denny Hamlin's stock car, and that's what got him noticed? So a lot of loyalty there. Yeah, short-term frustration with some of the performance. That is shared not only by Denny, but by Joe Gibbs and everyone else. But they're working through it, and can't say I know anything indeed or in fact about it, but my hunch is that Denny Hamlin will be there for a while. Team Autobots 51817. What do you think about Jeff Gordon bringing the Rainbow Warriors scheme back to his car before he retires? You know, I would love it. First off, you know I'm kind of a history buff and have a lot of fun talking about the past of the sport. I think this is going to get more and more interesting as we get closer and closer to Darlington. The Southern 500, we've already had a couple of teams. Did you see what Brad Keselowski unveiled? He unveiled a Bobby Allison paint scheme that they're going to run down at Darlington, the Southern 500. The Stuart Haas camp, and in fact, we haven't seen them yet, but you can pre-order them. They have already got Diecast on order, or they're working through the design factor, are going to have diecast available for their throwback scheme. So we know they've got something planned. I wouldn't be surprised as we get closer and closer to Darlington to see more and more teams. And boy, wouldn't that be sweet if Jeff Gordon would bring out a Rainbow Warrior paint scheme. The challenge with it is always the current sponsors. That was DuPont. Now Axalta is involved, which is the company that bought DuPont, but Drive Down Hunger is involved as well. So it's tying all of it together, and I think that's what really worked cool with the Brad Keselowski Miller High Life car that he's going to run down there. The sponsor is still the same. They've just changed around the 2 a little bit from a 22 to a 2 and made it look really, really good for Brad Keselowski, and hopefully the same for Jeff Gordon. Ben Farrell says, do you think Kurt Busch will win a championship again? He's looking fantastic this year. Well, if we look at the last few weeks, he will be a title contender the way he's running. Now, he's got to get a win. We understand that, but you keep running up front, you're going to get wins. But title contender, I think that time will tell on that one. I mean, he's a great race car driver. The problem is he's got to keep out of trouble. I'm just saying, you know, no matter what, these championship runs have got to be focused on what's going on the racetrack. Kurt is fantastically talented on the racetrack. He is a great wheelman. He's a former champion. He won the first chase back in 2004. So yes, he can do it again, but it cannot be done with distractions, and hopefully distraction days for Kurt Busch are over, because I love watching him race a car. He is fantastic. And finally, Grant Campbell writes in, what is the single most memorable interview you have done with MRN? Wow, that is a loaded question, because I have so many neat things that I've done, not only with MRN, but back in the days with Sirius. So generally, I like the historical perspective when talking to people, although the off-the-wall perspective isn't bad either. I think my favorite interview, it was for a show we did on Motor Racing Network called NASCAR Performance Live. We had Leonard Wood in studio, and we had Bud Moore on the phone. Larry McReynolds and I were co-hosting the show. They started talking, and it was a matter of Larry Mack and I setting our papers down, folding our arms, sitting back, getting away from the microphones, and they got talking and telling stories. The only part that I felt bad about is at some point I had to interrupt Bud Moore and Leonard Wood telling stories to say we had to go to a silly commercial break, but it was fantastic. That one sticks out. Did an AJ Foyt interview years ago that was really, really cool with Chocolate Myers for Sirius. Did a really neat interview in Vegas one time with Guy Fieri, the diners, drive-ins, and dives guy, and Carroll Shelby, the car guy. They had a mutual admiration for each other, and on the radio show, we were able to bring them together and chat with each other, and they ended up doing a project together. That was really cool because of their passion. And one of my other favorite ones comes from the sprint car world. A few years back, maybe a year ago, I think it was, we had Kyle Larson in studio, and the great legendary Doug Wolfgang called into the show. And Doug Wolfgang and Kyle Larson was another one of those. Step back, fold your arms, let these two guys talk. There ain't nothing a radio guy can introduce or bring into a conversation between Kyle Larson and Doug Wolfgang that is going to be better than what these two guys say to each other. And I think I like that about it with broadcasting with Motor Racing Network, is letting those moments unfold. The moments on the racetrack during race weekend, love going to Victory Lane. I'm not sure there's ever been a bad Victory Lane interview, and I just love the passion sometimes we get with these guys, even if that passion is frustration. At times, these guys really bring it because they love the sport so much. So I think that answers a couple of your questions, Grant, on what are my most memorable interviews with Motor Racing Network. We're going to get selling more diecast. We got to get back shipping here, folks. You need to order, we need to ship. You can find all the diecast, all these helmets at planbsales.com or at your local diecast dealer. We love that you guys are getting involved with us here on YouTube. We have the comments below. Feel free to mention your comments here. Follow us on Twitter at Plan B Sales, and we'll keep you informed on what we have. And please get some back and forth conversation going, because we love talking racing and love talking with you race fans out there, and we appreciate the business you do give us.